What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the NOA podcast. Me and your co-host Tyler. I'm here with my man Trey.
You.
Thank y'all for watching. We appreciate you guys, whether you're new to the show or whether you're returning. Thank you for your support. We appreciate all the support you continue to show. Please like, comment, and subscribe under this video. It really does help us, and it does mean a lot. So let's get into it. Trey, what's on the docket today, man?
What's on the docket today is I actually didn't know it was our 150th episode.
Yeah.
That's the case.
This is 150.
That is crazy, man.
Come on, if I remember correctly, this is 150.
Ever since like you've kind of taken over the editing and such, like I don't really know the numbers. I haven't paid attention to the episode.
The last one was 149. This is 150.
It's pretty cool, man.
It's kind of crazy that
cool.
man, we've been doing this for some time now, man. Been pretty consistent with it, like not too bad, you know.
I'd say
It's grown.
Changed.
It's changed tremendously. You guys can go back and look at like how some of the older videos. At one point, there was no video; it was just straight audio.
Yeah, it was just audio.
And then we had the first. If you look at the first episode, and then now this newest one, night and day. I believe it's grown and gotten better in terms of like production wise, how it looks, how it sounds.
You've learned along the way.
Correct.
Definitely.
Correct. It's a blessing though.
It's real cool. I enjoy it.
Facts.
All right, so what we have on the docket today is our first question: should you try as many things at an early age? In my personal opinion, yes, you should. It's essentially, at least how I see it, kind of like trying out different things, seeing what you like, because you never really know for certain as to what you will enjoy, what you won't enjoy. So you just kind of like trying out different things, different career fields, different hobbies. I'm very much a proponent of like having like hobbies and like things that you enjoy to do, just to kind of get you out that zone sometimes. Whether that be like reading a book, playing an instrument, going outside, like taking hikes. I've gone fishing a couple times, and I want to make this like a hobby I do more often. But I'd like to be able to go like fishing. It'd be kind of cool. I know you don't rock with it, and that's fine.
Nah, not really.
I think that's like a peaceful experience. So, in my opinion, I think it's something that you should do. Try multiple different things, trying different things just to go out there and just see whether it be a new perspective or you gain a new experience.
Do you think I'm gonna play a little bit of devil's advocate because I feel like there's nothing wrong with trying new things, but I think sometimes maybe by trying new things, especially in terms of maybe a career-wise, it might be hard for you to like actually like accumulate a certain amount of money because you're kind of might be jumping from like a job to job or experience to experience in which you don't have that stability.
Could be a possibility. But at the end of the day, it's personal goals. So like, what's your goal in life? Is your goal in life to make a particular amount of money, or is your goal in life to be in what career field that makes you happy? Sometimes money doesn't drive people, so I'll take the little bit of cash if that means what I'm doing is fulfilling work. Other times it's I want the money, and who cares about what the work is, and I'll do something I really hate doing, but I get a fat check at the end of the month. So like that to me is like comfort. So I think for different people it's just kind of like what you want for your own life. I just encourage trying new things, especially for like the young folks, because you really don't know what you like. You don't know what you dislike. So it's kind of like getting your foot out there to try new things. Try new career fields.
I don't think it's bad at all.
Try new subjects in college and school.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
I don't think that's bad at all because I think that's kind of how you learn yourself. That's how you also learn the world. I think that's how you gain new experiences. You kind of have to step outside your comfort zone. But like I said, kind of to play devil's advocate to a certain extent. Yeah, a lot of it is kind of what you want out of life. Some people might value experiences much more than they might like monetary values or maybe having like a stable job or career. But it's kind of like, and this is like the hard thing about like being in your 20s because I feel like there's a side where people are like, go try new things, go out, kind of like live your life and enjoy. And then like there's another side that's kind of like, use this time, sacrifice this time to like build a strong foundation for like yourself in the future.
Well, the whole point of finding those things and going out and trying those things is to get to the point of building that foundation. So if I'm 18, just graduated high school, I have no experience in any career field, how am I supposed to know I want to either be a plumber or a lawyer or a doctor? By either doing research on those specific subjects or, career fields and actually either going to someone and actually talking to them about their experience in that career field, going to some kind of school and hearing some kind of lecture about that career field, or just like maybe apprenticing in that job under someone who actually is like licensed in it. That's the only way you can start on the whole building of a career at the end of the day, because no one knows what you want to fully do with, you know.
I think that's how you started, but in terms of actually building it, you got to put enough time into it in which it
Yeah, of
becomes
course,
fruition.
which is
So-
where that whole
Yeah, but I guess where I'm arguing is if you're jumping from career to career, you're not spending enough time at one career to build a strong foundation. If I spend 2 years plumbing, then 2 years electrician, then 2 years being a carpenter.
that's fair.
I'm not spending enough time in one of these skill sets to where I'm actually going to build mastery and proficiency in it, in which I'll like kind of build a good
I
foundation.
will say, arguably, with the jobs that you've chosen, if you did have a couple years in each of those things, you'd
Okay,
actually
fair.
be quite well
All right, but
versed.
like, let's say if I was a manager at McDonald's, then I was an electrician for 2 years, and then after that, I was a hostess at a massage parlor or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I guess
I can see
if
you're
it's-
going for jack of all trades, master of none type of a situation, but
Yeah,
it's
but-
more along the lines of, and this is where I'm encouraging it, not more for people who are starting over, but like if you're starting out, like that's what you have to do. Once you kind of, all right, I know I like doing this, then you can start focusing on,
that's fair.
you know, the long term. All right, this is my career. This is what I want to do. I've seen plenty of people who pick career fields who don't like what they're doing, and now, yeah, they're making money, but just like, I hate my job, and just like I'm not content where I'm at. And I've also seen other people where they don't have a lot of money, and the money ain't really right, but what they do is fulfilling to them.
So
when
they're
it's like,
happy with them.
yeah, just like, you know, it is what it is. Like, I'll take the suffering, and you know, I think a good instance is Marshall from How I Met Your Mother. He had the lawyer job, which,
Oh, and he was upset, and then he became like an environmental lawyer.
yeah, you know, and it's like, what's important to you as a person? What's important to you as a human being? Is it money? Is it just being social and constantly being out there and having a job that requires you to like be social and talk to people? Is it the type of job where like you get to create things and that makes you fulfilled? Whatever that is for you as a person, that's what you focus on. That's why I say you should try multiple things.
So you said at an early age. So I guess in your opinion, by what age should you kind of like? I ain't gonna say like settle down, but maybe. Nah, I'm not gonna say stop trying new things, but
I don't think you should ever stop trying to do things, but
try to
there,
be
there
more
should be a point like
stable, I
a
should
locked
say.
in. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, what age would you say, hey, maybe I should be a little bit more locked in with?
See, that's a tough question because like everyone's different. Everyone,
Everyone is different.
life is running a marathon, and I can't say for what would work for me or for someone else is go work for anybody who's listening to this or watching this. You
That's
know,
fair.
so it's very tough for me to be like, 35, you should know everything by. 25, you should know everything by. Like, I'm that age and I don't really fully know everything. I know what career field I want to be in, and I'm working towards that. But I know kids my age who aren't in that same spot.
Yeah, who aren't in that?
You know, but that don't mean they're any less intelligent. They don't. I don't think they have a bright future. Just haven't found that thing for them that is like, I really want to do this for the rest of my life. So it's a tough question. I'd have to say, to give it some kind of an answer, closer towards like your mid to late 20s. I'd say that's your point towards you should be you have an idea of where you want to go. You know, I'll give you some grace early 20s. You know, everyone's kind of, you're just.
But you think you should know by mid 20?
Yeah, I think so, at least.
Now,
Once again, this is my opinion, so
that's fair.
everyone's life is different.
That's fair. I don't know. I disagree.
You think how long you think it should be? Earlier or later?
If anything, later.
Okay.
I think it's still hard. 'Cause I think in our 20s, we're still trying to figure it out. And also, our brain isn't fully developed into our mid 20s.
Until 25.
Exactly. So I think at 25, I have a feeling, and it seems like this is true. At least this is what people say. But like at 25, people start saying, "Oh, I start thinking differently." So if you start thinking differently at 25, I just assume that by 25, maybe you don't have it all together. Maybe at 25, that's when it's like, okay, now I need to. Yeah, I mean.
Was that the same for you? Like, did you have that same thought process at that age, or did you think that earlier?
What that? Could you elaborate a little bit more?
So essentially, like, what you essentially just kind of like
Okay.
elaborated. Did you think that way as well? Like, personally, being 24, going to be 25, do you feel like you probably supposed to have it together a little bit later compared to right now?
I think when I was younger, I thought I would already have it all together.
Okay.
But I also think it was different because when I was younger, I was supposed to be in the NFL by this age. So, like, that's a little bit different. Also, as you grow older, life changes. So, as I'm getting old, as I got older, I realized, oh, okay, like, the NFL isn't really for me. Now what? Oh, okay, I got to try this. At first, it was physical therapy. Then after that, it was like, oh, you know what? Nah, I ain't really feeling this. And then now, it's doing MRI in the radiology field. And even now, I'm 24, about to be 25. I'm having second guesses about that. So I think it's hard. And then also, you know, talking to people, I talked to I highly doubt he's gonna see this, but shout out Chris if you happen to see this. I had an event that I went to over the weekend, and I already knew him for some years. I knew him when I was a kid. His name is Chris. He's about to be 31, and I kind of was asking him like for advice, like, okay, now that you in your 30, he told me take life seriously, but also at the same time, like, don't be too hard on yourself. And he was even saying like, you know, like your 20s, like it's okay, like right now being like 24, you don't have it all together.
That's fair. Yeah, I get that.
So I guess
I'm just
that's
saying you
kinda
should have an
why-
idea of where you want to go, though. I'm not saying you got to be ready built, but I think it's important, especially at that young age, because you're talking about building a foundation. How do you
Yeah.
build a foundation? You need to have an idea.
Yeah,
So
but
you
I
need
think-
to be going down that path of, all right, trying new things, gaining said ideas at this young age. Because why would you wait until
But like
35 to start doing that?
But what I'm saying is, if you're trying new things, it's hard. How I look at it is, it's hard to build a foundation if I'm trying a bunch of new things. Because when I think of building a foundation, I think I am stable and I'm working on something.
But you have to do it purposefully at the end of the day.
Yeah, I understand that. But
So if you're
like
trying
I
new
said-
things, I'm assuming they would be trying things that they could see themselves doing for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, I guess whenever I think, it may be just because how I look a lot of things I look through the lens of money. I think that's just kind of something I got from my father. And I also think when I think foundation, I think stability. And when I think stability, I think you need some type of financial stability. Of course, there's like emotional stability and like relationships and all the other stuff. But like, I'm also just thinking like as a man, like survival. And money is a big part of survival, especially as a man, because we don't have the luxury of like looking pretty and like someone's gonna be like, you know what?
I'll give you cash.
Yeah, you
I'll
can
pay your
stay.
rent.
You can stay at home and
I'll
do all
pay
this.
your
Yeah, like I can't do that. Like I wish I was pretty enough, but it just don't roll like that. So
Yeah, no.
that's what I think of stability, and I don't think there's anything wrong with bouncing around and trying to figure yourself out. But 9 out of 10, if you're doing that, you're not gonna really have stability. You're not gonna really have a foundation. Now you might be able to pay your bills and like kind of make it through, but like a part of building a foundation and stability is also storing a certain amount of money and putting a set amount of money aside and thinking about your future. That's how I view it. And if you're bouncing around and trying to find yourself, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think during that time, you're gonna probably lack stability because you might have to go without making a certain amount of money. And like if I want to use myself in this example, even though I'm having second guesses about the current career field I'm in, I'm still stable due to the amount of money I'm making plus the amount that I'm able to put aside. But I know that once I start bouncing around and trying new things, I'm going to lose that stability because I won't be making X amount of dollars and I won't be able to kind of save as much and kind of plan for my future as much.
There's probably you're taking up a career path that you'd be starting out, so you'd get paid low.
Yeah, so like in the long term, which I guess this is like the risk you take, because like in the long term, you could take a pay cut now, but if you keep working in the long term, like that'll benefit you and that'll be better. But you're still gonna sacrifice some type of foundation / stability in the present time.
Yeah.
Which I guess being 25 or being 24,
I think you got to give something. Though.
it's risk. I mean, you have to give something. It's inevitable. And I'm kind of playing devil's advocate to keep the convo. Also, just it is something to think about. It is like a real thing. But just like with everything, you have to give something. Because even if you don't, let's say if you don't try nothing new, you just keep the job you're doing now and do whatever. You sacrifice adventure.
Yeah.
You sacrifice certain level of growth. You sacrifice finding something new about yourself that you never knew.
Yeah. Meet certain people.
Meeting certain people, opening up new and certain opportunities.
True.
So there's a sacrifice no matter what. It's just what are you willing to sacrifice? Some people want the experience and want to sacrifice the money. Some people want the money and want to sacrifice the experience. And that goes back to what you said earlier. So what do you want? It's everything. Everybody's different.
Yeah, I'd say I'd agree with the majority of what he said there. Everyone is different. At the end of the day, we all kind of have choices for ourselves to make. And me and Tyler, we've spoken plenty of times on camera and off camera. It's at the end of the day, you kind of have to be like, you have to accept the consequences
Of your actions,
said
whatever it is.
Yeah.
You have to accept the consequences of your actions, whatever it is. And every single action you do has some type of consequence.
Everything.
Everything.
You might not realize what it is now, and sometimes you actually will know what the consequence is on those lucky days. But on average, that's not going to be the case, and you just kind of got to live with it, you know? For some people, career paths can be very tough decisions to make, but at the end of the day, it's a lifetime decision to make. So I think it's just as important as like choosing like a life partner or something like that, you know? It's like if you're gonna do this for the rest of your life, at least be happy with it.
Yeah. But something that my father taught me is, and a lot of people already know this, but there's a lot of people out there who, majority of people who work jobs don't like their job.
Yeah, I saw a stat where it was specifically America though, so I can't say for the rest of the world, but I'm sure it's along the same lines too.
Probably.
But it was like 60% of like Americans.
A lot of people
not
don't like their job.
Don't like their current
bro.
work, like what they currently do.
And
they
like,
don't like their job.
that seems to be the norm,
Yeah.
but that's rough.
But I also don't think people like working in general though. Like I don't think us as a species likes to work.
That's fair. I don't think us as a species likes to work, but I do think, and every job has things that you're going to do that you don't like.
True.
But I do think on average, in my personal opinion, I believe that we should try to find something that we like to do.
Yeah.
But even if we don't like to work, find something that 90% of the time you like. And that,
But like 90% of the time, the thing you like to do doesn't get you paid. So like you got to do something that you don't like to do to get you paid. And you got to listen to someone else because they tell you what to do, which is what a lot of people don't want to do, especially
That's
the young
fair.
generation. The young generation wasn't raised right, so they have a problem with authority. And the fact that you see so many of them don't want jobs, like our generation, bro, doesn't want to work.
I don't blame them.
Doesn't want to work at all. All the younger is like, listen, bro, let it burn. The economy has gone to hell. Let it burn. So many of them. And it's like, damn. So if this is what we're doing now, I can only imagine what it's going to be like in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
But y'all going to grow up. So we're just going to have a whole bunch of bums or?
I mean, the thing is, you have to work. There's no...
Nah, a lot of them just living off their parents.
But yeah, but what I'm saying, that's cool until they die.
Yeah, until
Like,
parents
that's
pass
what I'm
away.
saying. Like, eventually, people have to work. Now, what you choose for work, that's up to you. But you can only live off your parents, but for so long.
That's true.
Because think about my parents are 60. So if I was still living with them, I only had X amount more years. Also, it depends who your parents are. My parents, I'd be kicked out. Now, they did not kick me out. I choose to leave. And they would have happily let me stay there, but that's because I'm 24. I believe they would have treated me so much differently if I was living at their house at 34. You know, they would have been like, yo, bro, like, you gotta, I mean.
There's a possibility, but at the same time, there is more of that happening too.
What?
Where like you're just seeing people still live with their parents even at that age. That's still quite a common thing.
Yeah, that's fair, but it just wouldn't work for me.
Mm.
And I'm not even going to say my personality, I would want to get out. But let's just say if that wasn't my personality, it wouldn't work for me because my parents would tell me to get out. They kicked me out after a certain time, bro. There's no way I could be 34 and still not.
I think one of the reasons too why is because they raised 2 daughters, and then it's like you can't have my 2 girls out here.
And
doing,
then, yeah.
and then
just
the
how
one
my,
boy.
Yeah. And
still-
also just how my dad is. I'm not saying he's very traditional, but my dad is just like, as a man, you got to go get it. So it's like, I don't mind helping you for a little bit, but eventually you got to grow
you gotta
up.
go get it.
So he wouldn't, bro. Eventually he kicked me out. Yeah. So regardless, I would have had to get a job. Regardless, I would have had work. Even if that wasn't who I was.
Well,
my
I'm gonna
parents
say
would
this,
kick
man.
me
Your
out.
father is one of those guys, but it's not everybody's dad.
That's
like that. Yeah,
fair.
not everybody's
That's
dad like
fair.
that. You know, there's a lot of kids
That's
out there.
fair.
One could say they have been babied a lot. They have been sheltered, either that or just they have like no authority figure in their lives. So, you know, there is. Not to mention the whole single mother thing, where like the moms are very soft with the boys. You get a lot of dudes that are grown without any kind of like father figure who don't one know how to be a man, don't probably care to be a man, and just gonna be whatever his mom raised him to be. So
You know, I don't. It's. I don't. What I'm about to say, I don't want to make it come off as like ignorant, but it's probably just because I am ignorant. I genuinely just don't know. But I would think I'm blessed enough to have had a father and grew up with a father. I would think though, even if you didn't grow up with a father, you would hit a point where you'd understand that the world isn't that forgiving to men, and it would kind of click for you. Because just because you didn't grow up with a father, yes, it is rough, and I understand with the statistics. But I do think no matter what though, you are still a man, which means the world still is not going to be forgiving towards you. So eventually in your head, I would just think like it would kind of just have to click to where you're like, oh, okay, I got to go get it.
yeah, I mean, you'd hope so, but
It's not always like that. Huh?
nah. It kind of goes back to, and this is I'm not sure if we talked about this on the show or this might have just been a me and you conversation, but you were like, I can't put my morals on other people. I can't like
Oh, yeah, we
just because
have-
I think I would do something a particular way.
Doesn't mean that somebody else would.
Yeah,
That's fair,
yeah.
man.
They're just not going. They
That's
just don't see
fair.
it like that. They just don't see it like that. But the next thing, kind of going along the same lines, is learning patience as you age. You know, Tyler, have you kind of gone through situations where in your past you weren't patient and you kind of see the difference now?
Yes and no. Actually, you know what? I might actually just say no. I think I'm more. Actually, that's cap. It's very hard to articulate myself. And maybe I just didn't view this as patience. Maybe that's why I'm having a hard time. But I think I'm just more willing to accept how life is now than I was like back then.
Really?
So like, I feel like when I was younger, like I would worry about things that I couldn't fix. I guess for
Okay.
so like,
yeah.
and I think now when you just accept for how life is and you kind of just control what you can control.
It is what it is.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's just a form of patience because instead of like trying to rush a certain outcome, I'm just like, well, I'm gonna just control what I can control because that's all I can do.
I can see that can be seen as that. Yeah.
So I guess that's how I would answer that question. I'm not gonna lie though, I feel like recently my patience has been like, I ain't gonna say wearing thin, but like
Tested.
a little bit. Like I want what I want now. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's true.
And at times, even though I'm like, listen, like, it's gonna take time. There are just times where I want it now. Like I don't want to. Not that I don't want to wait for it. No, it's not that I don't want to do the work for it, but sometimes I feel like I don't want to wait for it. Like I just.
Have you had experiences where you've either, in your opinion, you believe that you've received something before you were fully ready for it?
No.
And if you well, for me personally, I've gone through stuff like that where
Really?
yeah, wherein I've ruined moments for myself because like I either was too like antsy for it or just too much.
Like too gun ho.
Yeah, and I should have just relaxed and kind of played the part that I was supposed to play.
Okay.
So at least for me personally, that's taught patience. Also, kind of going back to the whole fishing thing. I haven't gone fishing a whole bunch in my life, but I have gone fishing before. This guy, look at his face. Whatever, man.
Fishing is boring, bro.
No, it's not. It's quite fulfilling. If you just show up one time, man, it's quite fulfilling.
I've showed up before, and it was
did
boring.
you catch a fish?
No, bro.
It's because you don't have patience.
It was boring.
So,
bro. It was trash.
When I had first gone fishing, I had the same I guess, thought process as Tyler. I just didn't really care for it. Also, I'm not a huge fan of water, or at least large bodies of water, because like I could swim, but like I just don't trust it. It's just not my whole thing. I've seen the Titanic. It's just not fun. Drowning is just not fun. So like, I was always a dude who had like my life vest on at all times. Like you wouldn't catch me taking it off.
Trey said, "Yo, listen, I'm following precautions, bro. I'm following the protocol here, bro."
Doing that at such a young age, it really helped teach me patience. Because like there were times I'm just sitting there like, bro, nothing's happening. Nothing is happening, and I had to kind of like go through that. Like, okay, well, eventually something will gonna take place, you know, like. And something always did. Whenever I was kind of going through something, whether it be like a hard time or something, like I reminded myself that this too will pass. You know, eventually, like whatever the pain might be going through or any of that, just eventually, like it would get through. Like I would make it through.
Yep.
And I mean, I was right every time. Like all the times that I went through some really tough times, like I made it through. I'm here now making a video with my friend. Like, you know. I'm much happier than I was back then. So, like, clearly that worked. So that kind of reinforces why now if I were to go through something, I'm like, listen, man, next couple of days, I'm going to get over it. It's just going to be another thing that happened in my life, and you kind of keep it pushing.
You know, that's fair. And I do think, you know, as they say, patience is a virtue. It's good to have patience. And I always think of this definition now. I watched a lot of Alex Hormozy. I'm a fan of his. And he's like, patience is just trying to figure out what to do in the meantime.
Yeah.
Like trying to figure out what to do while you're waiting.
For
a certain outcome.
Thing.
But it can be hard. I'm not gonna lie. It could be hard and it could be frustrating. And I think the younger you are, the harder it is. I think as you age, and I know we're quite young, but just like talking from older folks, it seems like as they've gotten older, they got more patient. Also, just kind of like watching my father. I feel like with my father. When I was a kid, I have, like, memories of my father, like, not being very patient. And, like, now I feel like he is much calmer and much more patient when it comes to, like, life and, like, certain outcomes. So maybe it's just a thing that just happens naturally as you age, possibly.
I think so, because, I mean, I was much less patient as a kid. Like, I wanted things like that.
I think you also start
minute.
to understand you can't really control life.
Yeah, that too.
As a kid, I think you kind of wish
you're at the mercy of everything else.
Yeah.
Genuinely, because you're so small.
Yeah, you also just have less power and less influence.
Yeah.
Like, even us now, I understand we're not, like, famous or big or have that type of power, but, like, we definitely have more power than, like, a 5-year-old.
Yeah, the other day I was either, like, on the bus or something. I think I was on the bus. And a kid was arguing with his mom for some reason. Didn't really hear the reason, but, like, I heard what she said. She's like, because I said so. Now,
Yo, you can't say nothing, bro.
You can't say nothing.
Not
like,
even
as a son myself.
I used to hate that. Bro.
Yeah, he got quiet.
What else
could he say?
I said something like,
what else could the kid say after because I said so? It's just kind of like, yo, shut up.
Yeah, it's also kind of like, yo, can I go to McDonald's? She like, you got McDonald's money?
Yeah.
Like, you know I don't got it,
That's why I'm
bro.
asking you the question.
You know I don't got it.
He's like, that's why I'm asking you the question. We don't need to be condescending. We don't need to be, come on, man. But it is that disrespect as a kid that you get.
You can't even
like,
do nothing.
Nah.
You know what's crazy? You can really be disrespected as a kid, and you just gotta
Just take it. Just take it. I have
it,
so
bro.
many memories of just being outwardly disrespectful.
Like,
if it were to happen to me now, I'm like, yo, who are you talking to? But back then, it's just like, all right, well,
you just gotta eat it, bro.
we got McDonald's at home.
Yeah,
man.
for real.
That's just it.
we got
We got McDonald's at home. This is how it's gonna
Oh
be.
man, I guess they'll be Happy Meal at home, bro.
But that is the case, and they don't have a lot of power, so
Can't do nothing.
can't do nothing.
But even now, me being 24, I mean, I can only speak for myself. At this very moment of time, my patience is kind of running thin. But I understand that's life, and I understand I'm probably going to get over it, and it's going to be fine. But just at this moment of time, I'm just like, I'm tired of being patient. I'm like, damn, bro, I've been patient for so long. And maybe I have. You kind of go back to the question of, have I received something early and felt like I messed it up? Maybe I have, but honestly, at this moment, I don't. Like, nothing comes to...
Can't think of it.
Yeah, like, nothing comes
Like,
to
something
mind.
could have happened, but you could also just not remember that, so you can't even really...
My point exactly.
That's
yeah,
fair.
yeah.
That's fair.
But at this moment, I'm like, I feel like everything that has, like, come to me, that I've been given the responsibility, I've been able to hold it down. I've been able to do what I was supposed to do and take care of business. But who knows? Maybe those things that happened, maybe they were so small and insignificant that I was just happened to be ready for the moment. Who's to say that if I was given it any earlier than that specific moment of time, that I wouldn't have fumbled it? So you could argue it either way, to be honest.
Yeah, I can see that.
But shoot, I'm ready for it now. I ain't gonna lie, you feel me? But
I'm
we'll
quite
wait on
content. I'm quite content.
that's fair. Trey's content. I'm not content, bro. Yeah, bro. I'm not content. I want more. I need it. I need it. It's gonna happen. Just give it time. It's gonna happen. I know it. But yeah, that's pretty much the episode. Around this time, we give advice. So Trey, you have any advice you want to give?
The world is very turbulent at the current moment. Whether that be in America or just Europe or China or just Russia or just anywhere.
Yeah, China not happy.
Nah, no, the whole tariff war.
Yeah. I didn't watch the video, but I just saw like apparently they like retaliated back.
Yeah. Things aren't the funnest in 2025, but do your best to make sure you are okay and you are trying to be as positive for yourself as possible, man. The world ain't easy, and at the end of the day, it's just you. So
Facts.
do what you gotta do for yourself, man. Take care.
Facts. It's good advice. My advice is keep your foot in the gas, man. Keep going. Don't stop. Keep pushing. Keep working. Life right now might feel a little stagnant, kind of similar to how I feel at the moment. Feels a little stagnant. Feels like I'm ready for change and you want change, but it's not happening right now. All you can do is continue to work, continue to keep your foot in your gas, never stop, continue to pray to the Lord, put Jesus first. Continue to ask him to bless you, just be as obedient to him as you possibly can, So that'll be my advice. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you guys so much for tuning in.
Appreciate you.
Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Just type in NOA Podcast and we pop right up. You can check us out on Instagram. That's going to be NOA_podcast. You can find us on TikTok at NOA Podcast 1 and NOA Podcast 2. Also, don't forget to check out our vlog channel. That's NOA Adventures for some of our vlogs that we have. So, yep, that's pretty much it. Once again, thank you guys. We appreciate y'all. Y'all take care.
Have a good one.